as many of you know, I've spent a fair amount of time making videos and providing support for people on the various CNC related products that they have. Some of that's my own, but honestly, the majority is products that are made by somebody else, whether that's the hardware or the software. And I don't mind. I like helping people, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing here. But I have been asked a number of times questions like, "Hey, do you have Patreon? Can I pay you for your time?" And things like that. And I have always, I have had Patreon. I haven't done anything with it, but I've always said, "Hey, don't worry about it. Just pay it forward." And and I still feel that way, but I also understand how I feel sometimes when I feel like I should pay for something. So I've recently changed my position on how I'm going to respond to those questions. Um, I like I said before, I have had Patreon, but I haven't spent any time doing anything with it. But over the weekend, I spent some time uploading a lot of the shop models that I've created. Some of them are CNC related. Some are, a sled for the table saw and the laser slide in the CNC and a guard for the joiner planer and a bunch of things like that other people might find useful as well. And I'll go through some of those things here in a little bit, but that's the kind of stuff that I've uploaded up to Patreon, and those things are all free for the second tier subscribers, and that gives you an opportunity to help me out in some way, but also it gives me a chance to give you something back for that, which makes me feel a little bit better about it. Now, there's also a lower tier subscription on Patreon. If you just want to provide a little bit of help, that's okay too. And I've also created an account on CashApp if you would just prefer to make a one-time tip or something along those lines. So I'll link all that stuff down in the description of this video. So if you'd like to help out in that way, you can. I'm not twisting your arm to do that. I'll be fine if you don't do it. But I definitely appreciate it for those folks that feel like they need to, and I want to let them do what they want to do, I guess. So with that, I'll kind of give you a really quick tour of some of the things on Patreon right now, and I'll continue to add things over time. And I'll probably do some videos that are more in depth on some of those items in the near future as well. Let's take a look. So here we are on my Patreon page, and I'll give you just a quick tour of what's going on here. First, I have this blog entry that tells you basically what I already told you in this video, so I don't need to repeat that. Under shop, I've got a bunch of different listings here for things that are generally marked at about $5. I think maybe there's one or two exceptions, but I'm not trying to make a lot of money here. I'm just trying to give people some cool things that I use and I think could help them, and also give people an opportunity to help me out if they feel like they need to. And I'll skip over here to the membership. There's two tiers right now. One, a contributor for $5 a month. That's just somebody who wants to help out a little bit. And another one for you get access to all the digital downloads for $9 a month. And that's what I'll spend the time in this video looking at. So you can buy these things individually. I don't know if anybody would really do that. For $9, you can have everything. And if you're just wanting the models, you might go that route. But whatever people want to do is fine with me. So here's the vertical table setup that I use, and I will create a video on this upcoming to give a little bit more detail. But this includes the STL for the wasteboard. I think links to the T-track, although it could probably be just about any T-track, and a DXF file for the lines that are on the back there as well. And basically what I did was I just marked all the paths that give me the angles that those dogs are intended to line up to create. And more detail on this later, but I think this is a pretty effective and good design for a vertical table. So the next one here, some people have seen the rotary video. This is actually the base frame that I used. It's the exact lengths and everything for
for the aluminum, and also the exact model for the piece of MDF that I cut in the middle to fit the rail. And that, that recesses into the aluminum on both sides, so it's in there really tightly, and it is a very snug fit here underneath the base plate for the rotary and for the tailstock. So that's what that is. This is the wasteboard setup that I use, and I did a video on this, and this is actually listed on the website for free. So you can download this, and it has the models and it has the diagrams for everything. I don't know if it has the models, but it has the diagram that you can use all the points for dogs and for the screws that hold the wasteboard in place, and for the holes that hold the T-track in place, and for the vertical cutout for the cutout for the vertical table, and the holes to hold the rotary table in place. It's all there. So that's another really good one. And this was just a quick thing I did. I got a DeWalt sander, and I wanted to connect it to my shop vac, and it's got that weird little port on it. So I just made this to adapt it to fit into a 2.5 inch hose. And this is replacement guards for my Grizzly joiner planer. They have a tendency to get broken if you hit them sideways. They're really kind of fragile. So I just printed some new versions of these, which are actually quite a bit stronger. I haven't broken these, but but these are replacement links. Excuse me. There's actually two kinds of links. There's the first one that connects to this piece of metal, and then there's another. All the other links just are the rest of the links. So it definitely works with this Grizzly GX or G0 634X, that 12-inch planer, but it's a planer joiner actually, and it might work with others. I don't know if they use the same guards, but it's very possible that they do. Let's see, what do we got next? So here we go with this is the slide mount that I use for my JTech laser. And what this does is it allows me to not have to worry about the laser crashing into the table when I jog down, because if I did, or if the machine did it on its own because it's homing or something else, and the laser was to hit the wasteboard, it would just slide up on this carriage on this. There's actually two carriages mounted to this piece of aluminum on this linear rail back here. So just slide up gracefully and nothing would happen. So that's a really nice thing also. Then let's see, what do we have? I'll skip over for a second. This crosscut sled I'm pretty proud of. I'm using this on my saw stop. It's got a bunch of cool things. It's using the Craig top track on the top, just standard T-track on the bottom, and it's got a guard here that is removable. And this does a couple things. One, it keeps my hands away from the blade, and second, it has a dust port here on the top. So this is a pretty good design. The one thing I maybe would change a little bit is possibly move the T-track a little bit closer to the blade so that clamps, shorter clamps can work. And maybe put this a little bit too far away, but you can decide what you'd like to do if you decide to use this. And then this is the dust port that goes with it, and it's a two-piece thing. It just has the port, and it has this nut threads onto the port on the opposite side of the acrylic, and then you can just connect the overhead, the saw stop overhead dust collection right into this, and now you have dust collection with your sled, which is pretty cool. All right, so this is a little relief plug. I'm not sure if there's a better name for this or not, but I bought the California Air 1520 or 15020C air compressor. It's a 15-gallon, and it's quiet, and I love the thing. It's been great for me. It runs the whole shop, and if you want, you can actually add an expansion tank to this for another 10 gallons on top of it, or maybe even more. I know they have 10 gallons, but they might even have other sizes. So I wanted to have an automatic drain on this, so it would just automatically drain any water that built up in the tank on its own. I wouldn't have to worry about it or think about it. Well, I bought the automatic drain right here, but you have to wire this up yourself. And when you do that, you have to actually run the power for that and the power for the motor in to the same plug, and the plug that comes with the compressor doesn't actually support two big power wires. So this is a design for that plug that does support two power wires. It's a really snug fit, but it works, and it's been working great. So let's see, what do we got? These are the clamps I use. This is what, I've mentioned this in another video. These are the knobs that go with these clamps, and you could use the knobs with anything, but that's what I use. This is an air blast mount, and what I did here was I created, this just uses the slot on the Z20 slider, and it mounts the air blast through two of these holes, the bottom two. And if you wanted to, you could flip it upside down and mount it on the opposite side, and then the bottom would be these top ones. So you can kind of reverse it, right? You can run it on the left side of the rail or on the right side rail, either way, and it'll work just fine. And this is a link to the air blast unit that I used. So you could go with that, do something else, whatever floats your boat. And let's see what else. This is a separate model for just the rotary guide. I had put this up a while back. This is that piece of MDF in the middle of the frame. And then I've recently started doing some stuff with Kanban to try to organize the shop and make sure my inventory is there when I need it. And I will probably do a video on that as well. But for that, I created two little models for just little card racks. And this way, I can use it to keep myself organized. And right now I've got a little bit of part-time help from a high school student during the summer, and they can be exactly on the same page with me, and I'm on the same page with them with what's what, because we're just using the Kanban system, and these little racks help out quite a bit. So that's what's in there right now. I will add more things, and maybe some household things and some other things, as well as shop things, as I continue to design them. My intent is not to give like super polished, perfect models, although some of these really are, that have a lot of support and everything else behind them. These are just like, hey, you get what you get, and I hope it's got some value for you, but these are not supported products. They're just kind of thank yous for any kind of support you would give me. So that's what I have in there now. There's more to come, and I will end the video with a shot of the CashApp QR code, and I'll put that in the description as well. So if you'd rather just make a one-time gift or tip or whatever you want to call that, then you can do it that way too. Thank you very much.